Here we have the Crazy Art Scented Art Spinner. I'm going to show you how to adapt it with a battery interrupter. Remember, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. Also, find out more information at my website, playenabled.com. So this toy, there are two ways to adapt it. The first is a battery interrupter, and that's the easiest way. And the second is hardwiring the toy. So let's start with the battery interrupter. For this, I've already adapted this toy, so I'm just going to show you videos and pictures of what it looks like. So what you're going to need, you need the toy, the art spinner, 2 C batteries, a switch for testing the toy, tin snips, which I sometimes call them tin shears, but if you're looking for them, they're called tin snips, a circle or triangular file, a drill with a 532 drill bit. So a real quick side point is if you don't have a drill, there are other tools out there like a rotary tool, which is a little cheaper, or you could even take your X-Acto knife and kind of cut at the plastic and try to use your file to then file it a little bit more. Another option you could go with is filing a little notch at the bottom of the art spinner. The final thing you're going to need is a battery interrupter. I don't show how to make it in this video, but I do have another video where I show how to make it, or you can buy one off of Amazon. If you are going to make it yourself, you want to make sure you use this type of jack because it can screw into the side of the art spinner, making it more secure. However, if you're going to go with one of the methods I discussed earlier, you might want to consider a different type of jack that looks like this because it might be a little bit harder to carve out the exact size hole that you need in the art spinner to fit the jack that I discussed previously. First step is to always test the toy, especially when you're new. There's nothing more frustrating than adapting a toy, it not working, and you don't know if it's your adaptation or the toy. There you go, it works. Remove the battery cover and make a hole for the battery interrupter. So I'm going to unscrew it. It's not in this video, but once you unscrew it, take the lid, use tin snips or a file to create a notch or a hole. I have my battery interrupter, so I put it into place. I'm kind of fidgeting with it. There it goes. As you can see, I have 2 cutouts here. The reason I have 2 cutouts is because this was my first thing I ever adapted, and I wasn't sure where the battery interrupter should come out of. So I made one on one side and I didn't like it. So what I did was I did it on the other side. The reason that I didn't like it was because the way I made this battery interrupter, I used a circuit board for the copper plate, and that's thicker, so it didn't fit in well. It's hard to get the battery in. So then I moved it to the side with the spring, and it was much easier because as I pushed the battery in, I could push it against the copper plate and the spring. So you only need to make one of the holes. Now you're going to re-screw the battery lid into place. And then you're going to have to create a hole for the battery interrupter to come out of the machine. So in order to do this, I drilled a hole. And I did it on this part right here because it is flat. And with this type of jack, you want it to be on the flattest surface of the toy possible because otherwise the little metal piece that screws onto the outside is going to slowly fall off because you can't get as tight of closing with it on a curved surface as you can on a flat surface. So look for the flat surface. Push the jack through the hole, and once it's in, you are going to secure the jack in place by putting on that little metal ring. You're going to screw it as tight as possible. You might want to grab a set of pliers to make sure it's very tight. Now you're going to grab your switch and you're going to test it out. Important, when you're testing it out, you need to make sure that the toy is on. So if you plug in your switch and hit the switch, it doesn't work, then what you're going to want to do is try pushing the on-off button on the toy. Then it should work. This is really important because it will not work if the toy is in off position. This is hard with this toy because it's not a switch, but rather it's a push button, so you can't really tell if the toy is on or off. When turning the toy off and putting it away, you need to make sure that you don't just unplug the switch like I did. You also have to hit the off button on the toy, or it will kill the battery. That's the issue I had mentioned earlier. If you don't hit the off button on the toy itself, it will kill the battery because it thinks it's on. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there is a second way of adapting this, which is hardwiring the toy. To learn how to hardwire this toy, check out my other video. I'll put the link in the description below. If you like what you saw, remember, hit the subscribe button to get updated when I post a new video. Also, for more information on this adaptation, as well as some other ones, check out my website at playenabled.com.